me, Brooklyn, and I'm here with my dad.
Patrick K, also known on Instagram as Patrick K Really Sells, and you are watching You Can Say It. All right, how you guys doing again? This is our fourth episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and today's topic is toxic energy. Yeah, let's talk about it. Talk about toxicity.
Yeah.
I said it. Yay.
Anyways.
I've been struggling saying that. I'm not afraid to say
Why?
it.
Because you're toxic?
Yeah. No, because I'm not. I'm so not toxic that I can't even say it.
That's what they all say.
Okay.
Alright, anyways, guys, let's get into this topic.
This episode is brought to you by Icebreakers Mitts. I always keep these with me, man, because I feel like bad breath is a sign of toxicity. Is it though?
No.
Is it? I think it is, man. I mean, when you get to a certain age and you know that your breath is not the best, and you still want to get in someone's face, that means you're just being toxic. At that point, like, your insides are toxic. You get in somebody's face like, good morning. You're like, bro, you don't want, because you know no one wants to tell a person their breath is bad. So they're just going to be toxic in your face with the bad breath, knowing it is bad, and just waiting for you to say something so they can go off on you. The first person who says my breath smells, I'm going for them. I'm coming for them. I'm going to HR. I'm not playing. Right?
Yeah.
You think people do that stuff on purpose?
Anyways.
Take a breath check. I'm not toxic. No, seriously. You ever thought about that? Have you ever been around a person who had not so pleasant breath?
Yes.
That you didn't say anything about it?
I didn't say anything.
Do you think that person was being toxic?
I don't think it was on purpose.
They know. After like 10 years old, you know when your breath is not good.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you can't do the old thing. You know when you get to the age where you know your breath is not good and you can't mask it with like food.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Or gum.
Oh, remember this? Can I get some gum? Why don't you just brush your teeth? Who says that?
You.
That's me. You know what's funny? A funny story about bad breath though.
What?
I remember when I was younger. I know this is gonna be a little. You probably wouldn't want to hear this because it's about your dad when he was Yeah, I was a teenager. And this is a situation with a young lady.
What is it? You went on a date?
Not so much a date. She came over to my house and we were making out, and I didn't brush my teeth, and instead of, I was embarrassed to go brush my teeth, I just ate a whole bunch of Oreos. I thought like, hey, if it smells bad, at least it tastes like cookies. Okay, we done.
I wouldn't tell anyone that.
Okay, smell like Oreos. Let's go. Some
Wow.
water, gargle it out. Let's go.
Anyways, so my dad is actually...
I can't remember your name, but if you ever was to see this, my bad. Probably was like...
Anyways,
Oreos?
You're actually going through toxic at work.
Whoa! It's nay on the iske. Okay, let's talk about it. I am going through... I don't want to really talk about it because this could be an HR situation if someone was to see it. Since we only have -3 viewers, then I guess it's okay.
We're at a deficit.
Yeah. I'm going through a toxic situation at work right now where, some people is disagreeing with the methods as far as my training methods.
They think you're toxic, though.
Yeah, some people think I'm toxic.
So that's ironic that you talk about you being not toxic, but everyone at your work thinks you are. So
it's an acquired taste, I guess. My style is an acquired taste. You have to be used to it to get to know it. But you know what? That situation right there, I think is too much for this video. But just to sum it up, you never know. Some people come to you or come out of the house with already preconceived notions. They have things that's on their mind, and you may bring up or represent a situation or a circumstance or just symbolize something that brings a negative feel inside them, and then that's how they react by calling you toxic because you clash with their thoughts. I don't think it's so much what I do. I think it's just I think it could be just a culture thing. It could just be respect thing. It's a lot of things that go into that, but since we bring it up, I'm not gonna get too much into who's right, who's wrong, because what I always say is be the change you want to be. So with me, I'm gonna handle the situation as using it as a means to get better as a manager, as a person, because I feel like whenever you do stuff, you have to do it with the positive motivation. Your intentions needs to be in the right place, and if you do that and you maintain that consistency, then you can't lose. So that's what I'm going to focus on, the positive, and try to really focus on getting around the bad vibes in the building. And to do that is to go inward. And from what I read in the book, it's called the circle of influence. You have to expand your influence instead of expanding your concerns. So you can't concern yourself with things you can't control. Like, you can't control how someone views you, but you can control how you view yourself and how you project certain things. So sometimes you just need to be conscious of how you move, because it could be something in me. So I always look at me first. I don't always do it, but I'm starting to look at me first and see what am I doing that can kind of evoke these toxic views from someone else. Yeah. Not necessarily changing or being fake, but it's just about growing and developing yourself to figure out what am I doing wrong in this situation. And when you do that, you can only get better. You can only grow as a human being.
Instead of blaming others.
And I actually done that last night. If you want to know a little bit inside work, like yesterday, I really went in my room, closed the door, and I kind of was trying to struggle and think about what can I do to resolve this. You even saw me because you're like, Dad, what are you in there doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing my work, shadow work.
Debriefing.
I'm debriefing the situation, and there's nothing wrong with that. I will admit, sometimes you have to go in a place, talk to a higher power, and then it comes to you. So I have a strategy getting over that. So that's how I look at it, man, because you can't put out a fire with a fire. So if someone comes at you with toxic energy, you don't want to go back to them with toxic energy, because in that case, nobody wins, everybody loses, and you might lose the most, even though you may think you're in the right. At the end of the day, be the change you want to see. And if you keep that type of mentality, you can't lose, because you're always changing and evolving into a positive direction. Yeah. And no matter what happens, you're going to fall on your feet just like a cat. So that's how I look at it. So like I said, toxicity is one of those things that's it's prevalent everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere you see.
I see it a lot.
Yeah, and I think one of the things a person needs to do to kind of get away from toxicity is to always look at yourself and figure out, are you harboring any of those toxic feelings as well? Because sometimes you can get a toxic feeling inside you that just bubbles up, and you don't know when that feeling might come out in the wrong way. So It's always cool. It's always a good idea to kind of look at yourself and figure out how you can not become that toxic person. This is since my son here, he's crashing out over a shirt size that I'm already over. But I know when he comes home, he's going to be, dude, you should have. It's like, dude, I'm over it. The shirt's too small. Whatever, man. Wasted $40. It's $40 between friends. Anyway. Yeah.
We should bring him on the show one.
Yeah, okay. You know him. So what about you? What's some of the toxic things you've experienced in your relationship? Because I know a lot of times, let's be honest about it, I can say it, that I have to pull you back from a lot of your feelings and things you think that you want to do. And I say, right now, Brooklyn, you're being a little toxic right now. And do you see anything that you do that you can get better at, or how do you feel about that? Because I think you believe, and I'm gonna speak for you, that it's cute. You think that it's cute to be toxic.
What do you mean?
Because you give people deadlines, like, I'm not calling him back in 3 hours. After that, I'm gonna call him. If he doesn't call me, then I'm gonna take it to tomorrow. By Tuesday, you try to be toxic, but it's not in you. So why do you want to even want to deal in that type of space, even though?
What do you mean?
Cause I'm your dad. I know you're a good person. Honestly, you're a good person. Yeah, you can say it. But you're a good person. I don't think you have a lot of toxic energy in you when it comes to relationships and things of that nature. I don't see it, but I think sometimes you try to invoke that shadow self to wanna deal in that type of toxic energy? And why do you do that?
Honestly, I think that most people get toxic mixed with boundaries.
Go ahead.
And let me explain. So when you're in a relationship or a friendship or anything, and you want to like set boundaries, but you can't, like, you don't have the voice to express that, you just turn to toxicity. You know?
No, explain.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, would you say it's toxic if someone does a TikTok and they're in a relationship with the opposite gender? Would that be a toxic thing that the other person did, or would it be toxic to respond in a toxic way?
Specific examples.
We not. You just said that.
What do you mean? I never said anything about that.
You said that. I'm just saying. How would you think? In that situation, I think your response was very toxic. Or do you think him doing that TikTok was toxic? Let's talk about it. We can say it. What do you think? Do you think him doing that TikTok was toxic?
I don't think his intentions were toxic, but the way I saw it was not my cup of tea.
So do you think that situation wasn't toxic at all?
No, it wasn't toxic.
And you know why?
There's no toxic in that, but it was just a situation I didn't like, and that's what I'm saying with setting boundaries and expressing how you feel in those situations. That way it never happens again.
Right, and you know why I think that situation didn't become toxic? That's why I'm bringing it up.
Because of me.
Really? Is it because of, you recognizing that his intentions were not to be malicious?
It takes two.
Yeah, it takes two. So that's a key right there. She's 17. She knows that. It's people that's 47 that can't grasp that. It takes two people to make a situation
to compromise
toxic.
And really look over
it does. I think it does take two people to make a relationship toxic.
Sometimes there's some misunderstanding in relationships that can cause toxicity. Yeah,
if stuff doesn't get dealt with.
Yeah, the right way.
Yeah, early and often, then it can grow into a toxic situation.
Like if you don't talk about the situation and express how you really feel, then that could just lead to future toxic and bringing it back up and you did this, tit for tat type stuff.
Yeah, tit for tat is definitely a toxic activity.
And relationships, yes.
Yeah, and then in the longer tit for tat goes on, it gets out of control because at that point nobody wants to be the one to say, you know what, I'm done.
Right.
I'm not. You won. It's not even you won. It's just
let's stop.
Let's just stop it because everybody want to get the last bow, the last word, and then you never really get the last word. You know what I'm saying? Because it keeps going until somebody. I think it gets to a point sometimes where when you're in a relationship and it goes tick for tat, it never stops. Even after the relationship is over, I think it's still some tick for tat, for tat still that goes on. You know, I think even the relationship is over, it's still little things that people can do to one another in their new relationships that can annoy the other person. I think it just takes one person to just say, you know what,
I think it depends on the people for that, because some people really don't care after a relationship. They don't have to go tit for tat.
Yeah, but sometimes it goes on.
Most people, it goes on.
A lot of times it goes on. You know, another thing that's toxic, I think people do is like social media. You know, a lot of sub tweets. You know, they make a lot of pictures. They do a lot of things.
Putting stuff in their Instagram notes.
Yeah, just so a person can kind of, you know, feel a certain way.
Feel their energy.
Yeah, they want you to feel it and say certain things. You know, certain lyrics to songs.
Yeah.
You know, and they do it with the intent of another person to read it.
Some people will post to a song and emphasize the lyrics they want someone to see.
Yes, and then they hope you see it.
They hope you see it just so you can say something that way.
Or feel a certain way. You might not even say that. You might just feel a certain way about it. So if people, you do that.
I think that is toxic.
That is
and
toxic.
Childish.
It is. But a lot of times, like I say, it takes two for things to be toxic. So a person can have that intent to say, I'm going to throw this song out there and hopefully they see it and feel a certain way. Then a person can see it and say, I don't care. Yeah. So that kills that energy right there.
So I guess toxicity is really based on how you take it. If you want to take it toxic, then you take it toxic. And if you want to not care and let it be, then you don't take it and you just don't care.
Exactly. That goes back to what you were saying earlier about people that downplays other success.
Yeah.
You know, when you do something and someone say, "Oh, that's
great for you.
Great, good for you,"
good for you.
or not just give you that that satisfaction that you want. But again, that's why you should do stuff based solely on your own intentions,
right.
And that's where that self-love come from too. Because if you love yourself,
you don't need that validation.
You do not need the validation.
I actually see a lot in relationships. People need their partners to say, like, tell them good job all the time, or oh, you look so pretty, all that.
Yeah.
Which I think
to build their self-esteem,
yeah,
right?
But to be honest, like, there's nothing wrong with that, first of all. But you shouldn't think that they need to say that to feel like, oh, I'm good enough for them. No, it should come from yourself mostly. That should just add on to your.
But that takes a mature person though.
Yeah.
See, but that can even turn into a toxic situation because a person probably can use those gifts as far as telling someone you're special, you're beautiful, you're doing a good job as a way to lure them in to what they call that love bombing. Yeah. So that's a toxic trait too when you do it unnecessarily,
right?
Or you do it to the point where you try to, especially if you or meet someone who has low self-esteem, and you just say, "Oh, I love you," and real fast, "I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, we're gonna do this," and the person's just like, "Oh my god, oh my god."
No one has ever said these words.
So now we connect on a different level.
Yeah.
But really, y'all could connect on a toxic level because your emotions are rushing past probably where it should be at on that pace.
Yeah.
You know, so every relationship should have a certain pace. So if you probably, you know, like in track, you run track, right? And you want to talk about your success in track so we can play that and clap.
Well, I broke the school record the other day.
Okay, that's a real
accomplishment?
No, not that. That was a real main character moment right there.
Yes, breaking the school record.
No, that was main character syndrome you just displayed.
That?
You just said I did, but it was like a relay, wasn't it?
It was.
It was like a relay. I ran all 4 times.
I had the fastest split.
Oh God! But it's a team effort.
It was a team effort, and I'm proud of my team.
But you couldn't have that fast split if the person that ran before you didn't give you the baton.
Yeah.
So you know, give props.
Obviously, good job, everyone.
Give props where needed. That's something. See right there. That could be considered.
That could be considered toxic, but that wasn't my intention.
But it could be considered if someone heard it the wrong way.
If someone heard it, yeah, they definitely would have taken it the wrong way.
So you always want to be conscious of giving people their flowers while they can still smell them. As Kanye says. What was I saying before that? We was talking about love bombing and things like that. Yeah, so
I see that a lot, but
what I was gonna say is about your running. You know when you run, you have a certain pace. You don't want to start off too fast, too slow. You want to stay within pace because if you start off too fast, then you're gonna get tired, obviously, and you're not gonna finish the race in an efficient way, and it's gonna mess up the whole flow of things.
Right.
So you gotta have a pace. So I think some relationships should always have a pace.
Yeah.
You don't want to start off the blocks running at a fast pace, and then by the time you make that turn, you tired now because you didn't give all your energy. But you want to. It's like a sweet science to that. So you don't want to start off a relationship with just I love you, I want to be with you.
I don't know. I was never the type of person to want all that. I love you. Oh, you're so cute. Because I get that from myself. I'm the one that hypes myself up, and it's different for everyone. Some people need that. Me personally, I'm saying I don't need that.
You know what's
in a relationship or a friendship, I don't need anyone to tell me I'm fine where I'm at. You don't have to tell me nothing.
You know what's weird about me? That I don't know if this is just how I'm wired.
What, you like compliments?
I really don't care for compliments so much.
Me neither.
But I like when people doubt me. You know, I like when people doubt me. That motivates me more than a person giving me props.
I like
when people say you can't do it. That's like bad. Then somebody saying you can do it. I'm like
that toxic energy like motivates me.
That's weird.
Or someone's that is like that's not. I wouldn't say it's good or bad.
Yeah, but it's just to be honest.
People like try and like doubt you or just, talk down on you. Anything at all that's negative about nobody really says anything negative about me ever. So
except your siblings.
Except them, but I'm just saying, like, I've never really, like, no one has ever really talked bad about me.
Well, keep living. Unfortunately, it's going down soon enough, buddy.
Yeah, and then the next couple months, it might be going down.
You never know.
But honestly, like, I don't really care if anyone says anything about me, because first of all, they have no idea what I'm doing.
So what she's trying to say is, I did a good job at parenting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Still a lot of confidence in there.
It wasn't you. It was myself.
Trust me, it was osmosis. You got it just because you've been
I
around
don't know.
me.
It's just always been like I never needed that.
I'm always turning it back on me.
That the grade validation some kids want from their parents. I always did that for myself, and my parents, they never really were like, you need to get all A's, none of that. But I naturally just got all A's for myself.
I used to say school is important. Come on now. I did a little.
I wish you said it more junior year.
I was going through some stuff.
What? Okay.
Anyhow.
But anyways, that's, I'm saying I never need that.
Let's get back on pace of a relationship, though, because I think that's something that a lot of people need to really pay attention to.
Toxic in relationships.
And do you think the toxicity in the relationships really is a product of the pace that the relationship is going? That sometimes the toxicity is so it's so in the relationship, but the pace is going so fast that you kind of pass it up and you miss it.
You overlook the toxicity.
You overlook it because you went at a fast pace.
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean.
Do you think that can happen?
Definitely, I think that can happen.
Yeah.
I think it does happen a lot.
So.
People getting too much in love, like, oh, I love this guy, and then you overlook the red flags,
and you start opening yourself up to a lot of things that you probably should kind of think about.
Yeah, also
you should probably say, wait a minute now.
I think something that's toxic is oversharing right away in a relationship. And just talking and rambling, trauma dumping, all that. I find that toxic. I'm like, really? You telling me all that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just weird.
You know what?
You're just looking for someone to
you want to be a victim.
Right.
You want to be seen as a victim. You want to be seen
as
someone to save you. You want to be seen as and then the other person want to be the savior, the person that can change you, the one that can say it's going to be totally different with me. Mm-hmm. Which I always look at it like this: every relationship is different, but it's going to be the same thing where you're going to have issues and problems you have to address. It's not going to be a perfect relationship no matter who you're with. So a lot of times people just think, oh, just because I'm with a different person, then this person is treating me different because he's saying or she's saying all the right things, that this is going to be a drama-free relationship. And I think that right there is a very toxic mind state to go into in a relationship, because you're setting yourself up for failure. You're really building up an individual this high when no one's should be that high, especially early in a relationship. It should be about that foundation and figuring out who this person is. And I think the thing about it is going over definitions, meanings, what does this mean to you, so y'all can see if y'all on the same page. Because sometimes what I found is sometimes you're in a relationship, you guys are not only not on the same page, you're not even reading the same book. I've been waiting to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I noticed
that was such a cool quote.
Yeah, I've never.
We're not on the same page. We're not even in the same book.
Yeah, I only heard we're not on the same page.
Yeah, see.
That's an interesting quote, because I don't know. People go into relationships and they just
start going. And I've been in situations like that where a person just start telling you. We're not saying names. They just start telling you
going
everything.
Who is?
And then they just start telling you so much stuff, and you like, wow. I know your whole life right now.
Right.
If I was a manipulator, I can just take everything and just
that's why
just take control of you.
What, you just want them to manipulate you.
You asking for it.
Right.
You like, please use my life to control me. So
right.
I think you need to be on that pace. Me personally, I'm the type of person that really, I don't like to talk about, too much into detail of my story so early. Bits and pieces is fine, but I don't want to get too in detail to it because
just going to rambling.
Yeah, it's not the time or pace. I really want to know some surface things first, and then get into the undercoat after I trust you with my feelings. Because what I found out is a lot of times people will use what you tell them against you.
Yes.
And they try to, use that against you, or use that as a way to show their superiority towards you. To say like, or they can use it to that they helping you heal and things of that nature. And it's like, bro, I don't need you to be my psychiatrist, my therapist. I don't need you to analyze my life based on what you think, because you'll never know. So that's why I think a lot of times you don't want to tell people too much until you trust them enough with that information. So it's all about trust.
Just telling people your problems, just in general, I don't know. I never was the type of person to really tell people about my problems like that.
I mean, sometimes you want to get someone's opinion, you want to get some insight, some knowledge. But I'm talking about deep things like,
even to like telling that to random people. I mean, it's different if it's your friend, but telling that to like people you just met like a week ago or a month ago, telling them that, it's different.
Going
into
detail, like everything. Surface talk is fine, but in the detail, how you thought, like a lot of stuff maybe needs to be saved at a later date, because and then it also depends on the person you're speaking with too, because some people may be mature enough to understand and talk back, but some people are so immature in like that conversation,
they'll tell you the wrong thing,
that they not only you tell them the wrong things, they'll ask more probing questions. That's like, bro, that's
instigating.
That's not good. Just because they want you maybe to keep that toxic energy against that person that you're talking about, because that's the way that they can make that connection with you. That's why I try to be in my
in your element,
in my new journey in life. I try not to disrespect or talk negative about my ex, because I feel like that's unnecessary at this point in time.
Yeah,
I think that's very toxic.
Something that is toxic.
That's very toxic right there. Yeah. To talk about your ex in a negative way, because it's like,
because it's over.
Not only that, because it wasn't just that. It wasn't their story or your story. It's both of you guys' story,
right.
And it's
not
kind of
your story to tell.
Yeah, it's kind of different.
And it's no one's business like that. It's
especially if you just saying, "Oh, she did this, she did this, she did this, she did this, she did," and what did you do? I just was. Yeah. Now, and that person.
Now you have to tell them what you did, and now.
But you don't tell them what you did, because the person that you're speaking to may be so emotionally immature or immature in general that they don't care what the other person did, because their whole focus on is trying to what you did.
Figure out what they did.
No, they're trying to figure out how that person made you feel, so they can use that to get in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you tell a person like, yeah, he was never home, I was by myself all the time in our relationship, I'm gonna always be there for you. But she's not saying that he was never home because he was working. So the guy gonna say, oh, he was never home. Yeah, that's because he probably was doing this. Now he's making he's making that toxic like element more and more and more. And now the person could be thinking like, yeah, that's probably why I never thought about it like that. Trust me, I'm a man. I know that if you were my girl, I would never. So that's kind of a toxic foundation right there in itself. So me personally, I never like to talk negative about my ex. I don't like to talk negative about the other person's ex either, because you never know. Because someone can be telling you the half story. So it's always good to keep it on surface and keep it regular until you peel back those layers and actually meet that person in the future, and then you start to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, something very toxic is just in general talking bad about people. Just
gossip.
Yes, gossiping.
Gossip is very toxic, man. And
sometimes you don't even want to talk bad, but you have to just to
That's so true. Like sometimes you're just
there.
You're talking, and then next thing you know, you get drawn into it because you don't want to say, "Listen, guys, I'm not being in this gossip. I'm leaving." Because then they look at you like
they're being weird, and you can't just be like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that right now. Like,
but I think sometimes you have to start doing that though. If you really don't want to be involved in that, you have to do it, man. You have to just be the person to say, or just walk away. Like,
or just be like, yeah, I gotta go. Just
one thing I've been doing lately at work when people start getting into that gossiping type of mode, I just try to change the subject and be like, man, I don't even want to talk about that right now. Let's switch the subject because that's crazy. Yeah. We can talk about this all the time. That's a good way to do it. But we can talk about this all day. Let's get into something positive.
Yeah.
And sometimes things like that will force the person to either show that they're really toxic because they say, no, forget positivity. Keep going. Because a lot of times people will be like...
Some people do that. I see that.
Keep going?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Nobody keeps going. Oh, my God.
And you know what else?
What? Oh, and you like... They're not even listening to you. They're still talking.
Right. You know what else
guess
happened?
What? And then... And you like, yeah, let's get positive. Okay, well, after this, I got to tell you this story.
But listen,
let's wrap it up.
You're not going to believe what else they did.
But you won't believe this. And this is why everything I just said makes sense. Listen. You like, I don't want to... That's definitely like I said, man. Getting into a relationship, getting into a relationship with bad intentions. That's toxic as well.
Yeah, to make someone else jealous, something like that.
Oh, that's not only toxic. That's kind of
just to like
that's detrimental to yourself.
Flaunt at the person because you.
Oh yeah,
I got this.
I met someone already. Look at you. I'm good. You still single. Things like that. So a lot of times,
like if you were in competition with another person and then you got the person and you're like, haha, I got this person, just to make
or if you get with someone else and then you try to show that what this person has is different. Like, look at my guy, he has this, or my girl does that, and you kind of using that. But when you do stuff like that, that says what? That you're in a relationship for the wrong reasons.
Right. That
you're not in a relationship because you genuinely like that person. You only using them as a pawn to make the other person jealous. And the funny thing about when you do stuff like that is once you accomplish your goal, that person that you use, you kind of look at them like, yeah, I lost all interest in you.
Right. Like,
but
why were you here in the first place?
The part about it is some people, they keep going.
Right, they stay.
And that's when
until they don't like them.
But that's when it's dangerous. Like, you know, I'm not gonna say I've never done that before.
What?
I've done that before, and once the person kind of got, you know, mad about the new situation, I kind of told the current situation like, yeah, dude, this is over. I'm sorry. You served your purpose. I know that's bad, but hey, it happens in life. I might have to cut that out. But I'll be honest, man. I'm a reformed toxic person. I've come out of that.
You got baptized.
Come out of the struggle. I've come out of the struggle a new man, and But yeah, wrapping this all up, toxic energy is bad. That's something that you always want to keep on guard for. You don't want to participate in that. You always want to make sure you're not adding on to it,
that.
And you always want to make sure you kind of got to take inventory to your own self
and
to
protect
your heart, protect your surroundings, protect your energy against that stuff. And just even if you start feeling a certain way about someone, you might want to just, you know, dig into yourself and say, why am I feeling like this? This
Take
is not
a step
right.
back from that.
Yeah, because right now this can lead to something toxic, and I don't want to be that type of person. So, wrapping up, toxicity is bad. Positivity is good. So, I guess we see you guys next time. We're only doing one video this week. I gotta go. I gotta go to Top Golf.
Yeah. What time is it?
I'm going to Top Golf.
What time are you supposed to leave?
Probably another 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's one of those, you know, I'm going to play. You know, I'm usually at home. No, she doesn't want me to go play. She's like, "Can you play when it's raining?" Because she wants me to stay home. These kids love their dad to be home all day doing nothing. I have a life. I have people who wants to hang out with me. People who actually
his cousin. It's a birthday party.
Right. Growing people with birthday hats. But yeah, I'm actually getting out the house, but yeah, man, I feel good.
He just went to the mall with this kid.
Checking out the huzz.
The huzz?
Wait a minute. Let's talk about that before we leave. Like, she got mad at me because I said a person on a poster was cute. Why are your kids gotta be that jealous now?
What? No.
She's like a famous singer.
You know her?
Ella Muai or something?
Oh.
That was a singer. Who you thought she was?
I don't know. Random?
She's on a poster.
I didn't know that.
She's a celebrity.
She's a celebrity.
So does it matter if she's still on a poster? You act like I was talking about some person that was like in Foot Locker. It was like a poster. You talking about the girl that was helping with the shoes?
No, I thought you were talking about the poster.
That's what I was talking about. I said she's cute.
I don't care.
Why did you get so upset about that?
Because that was irritating.
Why?
Because you're an unk.
Again, I'm not allowed to have feelings. All right, man. We see you next week. Thanks for watching. And again, subscribe, watch, comment, and all that other good stuff.
And hit the notification button.
All right. You can say it.
What?
What?